All right, hey, what's going on to the world? First, I want to start this a little different. I want to bless the interview. You know what I'm saying? All praise be to the one God, Allah, absolute, no cut. I want to give shout outs to my man right here, Slick, the brother that brought me in to this acquaintance. And that was because, I saw something on his phone. I was like, man, what's going on? What is this you doing? Bam, bam, bam. We started talking after that. But my first name, Enrique. Yeah, Enrique. Uh, Known as Rico Suave out of the CPT, Compton, California, 90220 across the board all day. My boy, my G homie right here, Mexican Rob. Once feared, once looked up to on a whole different level. This is a different time. I get it. But I used to look at this homie and question how the hell, how is he making it through these times? Cause the crayons was vicious then, homie. You had homies, man, that was like no nonsense type. You know what I'm saying? The homies put demos on homies right there on the spot. And if you weren't strong enough, if you was on some bull, if you was going to the pen, coming out with some foul on your, you know what I'm saying, on your rap sheet, it was done. Or sometimes you just don't see the homies. What happened? Just MIA to this day, and it's scary because some homies was loved, but it was situations that took place, and that's how it happened. But again, I went to Los Padrinos when I was young. I met some challenges there with other hoods, but I was up for it because this is what I was built up to be. I think I'm a native from the CPT. I'm born and raised. From day one, I was raised on Laurel in Wilmington, next to the 151s and Park Village, and the Usos, the Samoans, and so it went from there. And essays as well, and I chose my side, and it was the colors that attracted me. Breakdancing was in. You know what I'm saying? The homies, they was flamed up. Piru with the burgundy red on. I was like, oh man, that looks good. I'm young. I'm 5, 6 years old. I'm trying to pop lock, break dance. So I feel like I'm gonna look exactly like that. So I did that, and I gravitated that way, and
Well, let me ask you something. You said Wilmington and
Laurel.
Laurel. So how'd you make your way to Fruit Town?
So this is how I started migrating that way. We stayed in a little shag, man. My parents, blessed their soul, they did what they could. There's like 7 of us. So we lived in one little room. We had like a living room, one room, and then there was a bathroom. So finally, it's a little overwhelming, but the story goes, saying mom started saving up her nickels and dimes. And one day she said, we moving to a better house. Like, what's better than this? This is all we know. So it was a bam. So we moved right there on 800 block Spruce. I was going to Davis. So I was wearing my 49ers gears. I had iron my burgundy rag. I'm coming down Wilmington, crossing, Compton Boulevard. So I had to deal with that, saying that drama. You got the keyways right there, the crips. So I was like, damn, every day was a struggle. So I made it, I went to Davis. So when I moved on Spruce, I was already, engaged in homies on the Piru level, on the Piru side of things. So yeah, so I meet the homies, not to mention their name. Maybe they, want to be in their, let them do that. But I got real good homies and love, love for a lot of homies. But the homies out of the Fruit Town, the Fruit Us, Piru, for some reason, I fit into they ways, their agenda, man. It was like, so.
So you said you moved on Spruce. I'm thinking that's Treetop Hood.
It is across Wilmington. It's actually a area where you didn't have too much, but it's actually on the cedar block side of it. Yeah, so
I'm still trying to figure out what pulled you over there into the Fruit Town.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
So I meet a homie. who we still close with, and I'm just going to, name him as Buzz, but, he got a name. And we became like brothers, man. And he was like, man, come to the block, man. My uncles, my family live there. Walk. So I'm like, where's that? I said, man, right here on the O. I said, the O. I said, let's go, man. So we cross Rosecrans, right? And then we go on Orris Street. I come on Orris Street, man. It lit my eyes up. His grandmother, Grandma Sneed, much love, she lives there. So she had children, right? The homies, they were moving fast. They had low riders. They got bikes. Man, they out there swolled up, So it was my friend and my homie who brought me there. And then I was like, oh shit, this is it. This is Fruit Town Piru. This is what it. Okay. So that's when that began, that segment. But mind you, I had my burgundy rag already, boom, folded up in my back pocket. Burgundy Pumas with the fat laces. I was just Piru world. You know what I'm saying? I was just like everything else didn't matter. You had blue on, it was on. We was enemies. This is the mentality. If you didn't share something that I shared, we had an issue. So this is the brainwash. This is the actual course of you developing a sense of your neighborhood. And it was like, man, homies around me, the homie right here, man, and his homies, they were like, man, look, I can't even, I can't show you a picture, man. You see it, and you like, yeah, that's what I want to do. This is what I want to be. I'm doing push-ups off the curb, like the big homie. This is how it starts.
So let me ask you something. I kind of want to touch on your family first, and then try to figure out how you sprung board into the black culture. So, growing up in your household, was Spanish the language of the house?
That was the language. There was no English. English came from school. English came from the teachers, and man, I had some good teachers in my life, man. But this, I was a knucklehead, man. But it was all English at school. Came home, Spanish.
Was it a mom and dad in the house?
It was a mom and dad.
And you had brothers and sisters?
Had brothers and sisters.
So what made you, being raised in a Mexican family, growing up as Spanish as your first language, what made you gravitate towards the quote unquote black culture or black street culture? What was the allure of that? Because you had an option in Compton, because there was actually a cholo presence in Compton also. So
yeah,
you guys had a choice to go this way or that way.
Yeah.
What made you go that way?
And and I would say some of them cholos back then, they were a little different, man. They had a little pizzazz, a little more to it, and it was attractive on a certain level. I looked at it. I saw the way they, cut their brims, they had, and they button up to the top. So I looked in the mirror one day, and I was like, man, I was young, but I was like, man, this ain't me. I'm not feeling this, right? Now, mind you, they got a cool style that it's different now. They style then was way different, and it's like, this ain't me, man. So, I'm butting the top, boom, Pimpton. Shit, I threw on a golf hat. I remember my golf hat like the one I have now. It was a burgundy golf hat. I didn't even take it off for nothing. Go to church, take that hat off. I'm in there with the burgundy golf hat. I'm everywhere. I'm in the hood. I'm breakdancing. I'm spinning on my head with the hat. I'm doing all that, right? So that was the time. I think I looked at myself and I felt like with my black family, I don't know why, but I have friends, close black friends, and I felt very, very close in some way.
What was mom and dad's response? Because obviously when it's time to go school shopping, your dress code is not matching the typical Hispanic dress code. So
no, it never mattered.
Paying attention to this?
Yeah, they paid attention. Oh man, they was on me, sagging, everything. I had to sag with everything. It's crazy. And then they'll say something, and I look around. As soon as they turn, I put them down a little bit more, kind of like the sag was then. You was sagging. You was really about something. Like you was trying to say something. You wanted to say to the world, like, look, I'm a banger. I'm a misfit. I'm everything that you don't like. But this is who I like. This is who I am because at this time, at this moment, this was in my face. And I had to, yeah, but yeah, man.
So look, what's your family's roots? Do you know where your parents come from?
Yeah. So after going to the pen, you grow your conscience kind of grow, and it grows. You want to feed it more because it starts to it gives you other windows, outlets, right? So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I looked it up, man. One day my sister wrote me a letter, and she shot me some magazine pictures, and she said, "This is where we trace our dad to." And I said, "What?" It said Mexico, Michoacan, right? So I'm looking at the pictures, and they look like black cowboys, right? It was a black cowboy, a sister. She had her little, thick curly hair. She had her hat on, little fro, dark skinned. She was strapped up, and I'm like, man, what is this? She said, man, this is right here at home, at our parents, home in Mexico. So I always ask my dad, why your hair curl up like that? I'm saying, why are you dark like that? Why is your nose spreaded out like that? But he didn't really have an answer. He was like, "Well, get out my face." Hablándome en español, diciéndome cosas like, man. So this is where and then so bam, so I traced that, and then I kept going. So I'm like, well, what else is going on? Why do I see spices mixed up in me, man? Why can't I pay attention and walk that straight line? I want to be here, I want to be there, I want to know who's what, that dude. So I went and looked it up, and I traced one lineage back to Puerto Rico. So I'm looking at that different. I'm like, okay, what's going on here, right? And it answers some of my questions. So that's how it is, But they were all Latino. They was all this all Mexican style more than anything at home. There was like no tolerance of no other culture.
Did this search for your background? It wasn't really a search. It kind of landed on you through your sister. Did this create confusion within you, being from the black street culture, but now you're learning your roots? Is there a conflict going on within you?
At that time, no. That wasn't the conflict. But I can tell you what the conflict was. That time, it kind of filled me in. It kind of like made me understand life and appreciate it from all sides, right? Still trying to understand why we have a certain pattern, and there's so many other spectrums to that, right? And so many other patterns. But the conflict came to me when I went to the pen in '94, and that was the test of time, my duration on Earth, right? Because this is what's going to tell it all. This is why I'm able to tell the story and be sincere, genuine, but secure about myself. I didn't give up nothing after that. It was going to be Piru blood to the end. And what got me there, right, was that when I went there, mind you, I'm 19. I've heard the homie, Mexican Rob, do his thing, right? So he's like a legend. Like, homie's like, man, if you're not black and you're going to push this black thing, you always look for them older homies, like, how they do it? What happened? So I went in there, and it was a dark moment. I went to the cell, and I looked around like, damn, this is what everybody talking about, right? And some essays come through there, and homie, some blacks came. I was like, hey, where you from? Where you from? I act like I don't hear. Like, man, I don't hear they shit. I'm in here like I don't know what's gonna happen, right? I'm going through that anxiety and phobia, that fear. I'm gonna keep it real. What made me was them fears that I had to go up against. It became my strength. And to this day, man, the strength is beyond. It's beyond even a speech. You know, I can't even describe that. So the homie came. I think the homie, he was a blood, and he came to my cell and said, "Hey, homie," said, "Your name Rico?" Said, "You Suave from Fruit Town Piru?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's me." He said, "Listen, we heard you was in here." He said, "Look, man, I'm gonna sit down with you and give you a rundown, right? I'm gonna give you a talk. After this, it's up to you." He said, "Man, look, we bloods and we together, we united, and we strong." I said, "Man, you the Piru homie, and the homie just told me that you was here and told me to come check on you. And they asked me to tell you, if you with this and you're gonna run with this and roll with this, we got you back to the fullest. Don't worry about nothing else." He said, "Man, ain't no other person gonna touch you without having to touch the whole car." Shit, man, I elevated. It's like I grew 7 feet. That's what I need to hear.
So what you had doubts that you would be backed up by your car?
I had doubts.
This conversation?
Before this conversation, I had doubts that I would be able to contain myself and maintain myself with my pride and my image. So I was like, this is a challenge for myself, in my inner self. Outside of me, many people already had my back. And to them, kudos. You know, I love them for that. They already knew what I would face if I went to the pen. So they were sure. Now it came back to me, right? Am I sure? Do I want to continue this route? Or is this where it stops, right? So that was a little conflict. But at the same time, you know what? I had that moment to think about it. There was only doubt in whether, coming back to what you said, yes, will everybody be on board? As every black be on board? And that's another story. You know, everybody can tell their own, because not every black looked at me and looked at a Mexican / whatever, Puerto Rican, not black. You come in there and now they want to know. Like, homie, shit, you ain't banging our rag. You ain't shit, you ain't crip. You Piru. You with the bloods. So why should we care about you? Why should we throw ourselves, you know, on the front line and sacrifice for you and all this, right? So that's where my doubt was. Will everybody pull, you know, behind me on a situation like that?
Are you familiar with BL and UBN?
I am familiar with that.
Do they have any Mexicans part of that?
Never met any in my life that are from there.
How about
How about this guy right here?
As far as I know, my boy here, he's been FTP.
uncut?
They uncut. Like this is messing around.
Oh, no.
Something he want to tell me or tell the cameras. If there's something there,
It's not to be spoken of, homie.
you know,
Tell her, Rob, it's not to be spoke of.
Right.
Well, I ain't asking if y'all from it. I was wondering if any Mexicans are from it. The next question
Yeah.
is, did you have
Yeah, I
any
don't-
relationships?
Indirect, yeah.
Or what was your relationships with the Northern Structure?